The maximum residue limit, or MRL, is the highest amount of a pesticide residue legally allowed in or on food when that pesticide is used. This short InnoGrape video aims to enhance your understanding of MRLs and emphasise the importance of complying with regulations set in Australia's key table grape export markets. National and international government agencies regulate the use of pesticides by setting MRLs for active constituents registered on agricultural products. Factors such as good agricultural practice, acceptable daily intake, and recommendations by the Codex Alimentarius Commission may be considered in setting MRLs. The main goal of these government agencies is to protect the health of consumers, ensure fair practices in food trade, and promote coordination of food standards. Before a pesticide is allowed for use on table grapes, an MRL is established after rigorous testing and dietary risk assessment. For example, regulatory authorities routinely perform field trials to measure residues of candidate pesticides applied at the highest rate allowed by the product label. Using these data, other dietary sources of the residue and a safety margin, an MRL is proposed if the acceptable daily intake for humans is not exceeded. Pesticides used in the production of table grapes in Australia may not have an MRL set in some overseas markets. This is often because grapes are not grown commercially in these countries. Therefore, these agrochemicals have not been registered in these countries. In addition to this, where an MRL does exist in those markets, it may be different to the limit set in Australia. Therefore, table grapes destined for export markets require a carefully planned spray program. Japan, for example, generally tends to have lower MRLs for specific pesticides compared to other countries. When preparing your agrochemical program, ensure that pesticide choice and application methods comply with the MRL regulations of Australia's major table grape export markets. To achieve this, it may be necessary to avoid the use of certain products or to restrict their use. Regulators in export markets routinely sample and test agricultural products for a range of pesticides to ensure producers are meeting food safety standards. Pesticide residue violations may result in closed or restricted access of Australian table grapes into key markets. For this reason, it is essential that all producers exporting table grapes are aware of these consequences and consider an independent residue testing program on a regular basis to ensure compliance is met. The Australian Table Grape Association, in association with Horticulture Innovation Australia and the Australian Wine Research Institute, have compiled an extensive up-to-date database of chemicals registered for use on table grapes and export market requirements. Due to the sensitive nature of this information, the database is available to Australian growers only by contacting the Australian Table Grape Association. A table grape grower's ultimate goal is to improve profitability and the bottom line. In order to maintain access to lucrative foreign markets, it is essential that Australian producers are informed and comply with MRLs established in each export destination. This video is brought to you by InnoGrape, a table grape extension program supported by the Australian Table Grape Association, with funding from the Foundation for Rural and Regional Renewal and the William Buckland Foundation.